Good day. Today, we were talking about the resumption of face-to-face classes. As we all know, in the year 2020, we've been facing a pandemic. This sad virus was spreading all over the world, and it resulted to new normal. Everything was changed, and one of the changes is the area of education. Students, teachers, and other personnel can't go to school, and the classes become modular and online. It is really hard to cope up with the new style of learning. In almost 2 years of staying at home, still using the new style of learning, the government let the school to open again. The student can go to school again, teacher can teach in actual again. It is a kind of relief that finally we back to normal. Just like before COVID-19 struck to our country, resumption of classes is one of the students' wants because a lot of students suffer from online class, especially in terms of internet connection. Since not every student has a stable internet connection or a budget to buy a Wi-Fi, so resumption of face-to-face classes is the key to solve this problem that the students currently facing. Face-to-face classes is very important to every student because we can access more information and richer understanding through teacher and other students. Body language and voice, we have the opportunity to connect with problem solve and network with other students from a wide range of backgrounds. So, face-to-face learning is the better option because it provides a higher chance of regaining greater understanding in first subject. As a result, we also stand a chance at completing the course more successfully by attending class in person. If the students was at online, we would have to wait for the instructor to email them back. Face-to-face students once again have socialization, peers, and interaction with teachers. Learning in groups and face-to-face allows students to have greater scope of learning. In group education, students have formal lectures and presentations that allow students to establish a good relationship with instructors, and it helps them increasing their confidence level. Face-to-face education helps increasing intelligence level of students.
Good day, ma'am. I am Nurse J.P. Lepardo, a Level 1 nursing student. I will be sharing my thoughts, views, and opinions about the resumption of face-to-face class. Face-to-face classes has always been different because it enables every learner to explore different phases of learning. And so it develops our interpersonal skills. But since pandemic has emerged, that traditional face-to-face classes was being replaced with different learning platforms such as online and modular learning. This imposed sets of new educational learning is to continue the academic year even amidst pandemic, as it aims to help students learn and gain knowledge despite of the challenges and the changes of the environment. Indeed, everything went different since the pandemic starts to devastate the entire country of the Philippines. Filipino learners undergo into such adjustment and flexibility just to make and enable themselves thrive and complete in terms of learning. But as a level 1 nursing student who is also competing through online platforms, I have encountered hardships such as low internet connection. I am taking a course that needs a hands-on performance, in which it requires a face-to-face classes. Hence, I am in favor of reopening of face-to-face classes because I have a wide perspective and expectation in my chosen field. I am confident that taking the risk of participating in the possible face-to-face classes will be worth the while, because I do believe that risk is just a simple amount of fear compared to my dedication to learn.
A pleasant day. I am Emeldri V. Mamolo, a level 1 student of Bachelor of Science in Nursing. And today, I'm going to share my opinion about the resumption of face-to-face classes. Last 2019, the novel human coronavirus disease was first reported in Wuhan, China, and subsequently spread globally to become the fifth documented pandemic since the 1918 flu pandemic. This COVID-19 or coronavirus disease had lost so much opportunities. It caused hunger, loss of job, loss of people's lives, discrimination, and even lead to the temporary closure of traditional face-to-face classes. Due to the increasing numbers of deaths caused by the coronavirus disease, the Department of Education and Commission on Higher Education had to come up to temporary closure of face-to-face class. This is to help students and staff safe from the possible transmission. Hence, to keep the academic year incompetent, various ways was imposed for learners, such as modular learning, where students answer and learn through the hard copy given by their teachers, and online learning, where students use their different resources, such as laptop, mobile phone, to answer the uploaded task on their social media or any class application. We can't deny the fact that the new sets of way of learning is good, but somehow the reason of slowly vanishing the essence of learning. It caused low focus since the students divert their attention on their social media life. And some became unproductive considering all the instances and expectations they have set and expected. And as a level 1 nursing student, I deeply understand that resumption of face-to-face classes is too risky and delicate. But knowing that there are some courses that needs a total hands-on performance and attention just like the course I'm currently taking. And for me, resumption of face-to-face classes is indeed a must. Because taking the person to rest with proper self-care and following the minimum health protocols against the coronavirus disease is not just a simple rest, but rather a passion, a dedication to learn and able to save lives in the future. But however, anyone who would be participate of face-to-face classes must be well-oriented, capacitated, and must be fully vaccinated. Because I do believe that taking the rest with preparedness is making difference.
Hi, have you heard about Aristotle? He's a famous philosopher and he quoted education that the roots of education are bitter, but its fruit is sweet. Hi, good day everyone. I am Angel H. Maraunay and I am from BS N15, and today I am going to talk about the resumption of the face-to-face classes. So, now that I have experienced the two sides of the kinds of education, which is the home classes and the face-to-face classes, I can now say that this resumption of face-to-face classes has an advantage and disadvantages. Let us first talk about the advantage of the resumption of the face-to-face classes. As what I have observed, the students can easily address their question or ask the question to the instructor since the physical body of their instructor is with them. You need to use other method to communicate with your instructor. Example is Facebook or Messenger, Neo or Gmail. You need to contact your instructor and then you need to wait for their response since they cannot address each student's concern one by one. And then the second one is that you can talk to someone, those people who don't drain your energy, and interact with people since interacting with people has an emotional and psychological effect to the students. Now let us talk the disadvantage of the resumption of the face-to-face classes. now let us talk about the disadvantage of the resumption of the face-to-face classes. I now realize that staying at home and learning can save money. Not to mention that the fare nowadays has doubled, and I need to spend a huge amount of money so that I can go to school. And then the other disadvantage is that we need to use some type of communication like Messenger, Facebook, Neo, and Gmail so that we can interact or we can ask our concern to our instructor. I know that we can use Google or some online platform to search what are the things we don't understand. But the experience and the knowledge of our instructor is a huge difference. And for the conclusion is that there are advantage and disadvantage of the resumption of the face-to-face classes. I am still okay with the face-to-face classes since I know since this traditional learning can benefit a lot to the students. That's all. That's all. Thank you.
Good day everyone, I'm Chinemy Martinez and I'll be speaking or discussing about the resumption of face-to-face classes during COVID-19 pandemic in the Philippines. The COVID has resulted in schools to shut down all over the world. As a result, education has changed dramatically with the distinct rise of e-learning, where teaching is undertaken remotely and on digital platforms. But now, the case in our country has been reducing in some particular places. And this is the sign that some schools are reopening and the learners or students are returning to their respective classes. As a learner, I've been studying at home. There are challenges that I need to overcome for the past 2 years. Some students without reliable internet access and technology struggle a lot to participate in the digital learning that can lead to them a stress or depression to some students. But now that President Rodrigo Roa Duterte has permitted the resumption of face-to-face classes, to begin with, I will discuss the advantages of this to students or learners. With the face-to-face learning, instructors are better able to assess the understanding and the interest of students, and it is easier to generate group excitement about the subject. Face-to-face allows students to have instant gratification with answers and help. When a student is in class, they can ask questions while it is fresh on their mind or help with a particular problem. Also gain from socialization with peers and interaction with teachers. Next, face-to-face classes are better because you will be able to concentrate harder on your learning because there will be less distraction than if you were at home. You may feel more comfortable and learn more easily in a familiar traditional classroom situation. Face-to-face gives better motivation to study. Instant feedback, it is too difficult to learn everything through computer. Face-to-face interaction, instructors is better for the learning process. Face-to-face is better for resolving study problems. The brief resumption of face-to-face classes is adequate for me as a student because face-to-face learning is very effective to the student's life before and even at present is no doubt. But COVID-19 pandemic is still here. We must follow the safety protocols, so all we can do now is to get vaccinated and stay safe so that we can return to the traditional way of classes. Thank you.
Good day everyone, allow me to introduce myself. I'm Mary Cristal Serrano Monoy from Bachelor of Science in Nursing, Section N15. My speech is all about the resumption of face-to-face class. Adding to this topic, I want also to share my experiences as a student about what are some advantages of face-to-face class and its impact to us. As a student that's still battling in this online learning class, I am very happy and excited that resumption of face-to-face class and the further reopening of more sectors has been slowly approved by the government. After almost 2 years of school closure due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Philippines begins limited face-to-face classes in selected areas across the country. Face-to-face learning always has an edge over online sessions, as the personal connect between the student and the tutor will be better, and learning along with peers give more scope for innovative thoughts and psychological strength. Despite getting used to this new normal mode of online learning, I'm sure that we students await for the most exciting day to resume classroom learning. On behalf of all the students, our voice is one. I believe that no better way for getting started. If you want to learn something completely new, where do you start? Your web search produces lots of hits, but you barely understand anything due to the excessive use of technical terms. Many subjects can be overwhelming in the beginning. This is where interactive face-to-face training can tear down the initial barriers. Every question is allowed, and a good instructor ensures that no one is left behind. Face-to-face class enabling us to concentrate harder on our learning, because there will be less distraction than if you were at home. You may feel more comfortable and learning more easily in a familiar traditional classroom situation. Face-to-face class helps our emotional health stable, with less anxiety, depression, and other bad effects caused by online class. For the reason is that we use our gadgets over time. But let me remind everyone that COVID-19 is a virus and we cannot tell what happened next. Even though we have given a chance to resume classes, we still need to follow protocols in order to protect ourselves and other people that we might interact with. Thank you and God bless.
Reception of face-to-face classes. It will be a winsome and exciting, lots of possibilities and expectation to be back with friends in actual university experiences. Meeting each other again, getting the good vibes and energy after being in quarantine. Our limited access to many outside activities will be wonderful. I welcome the possibility of actual doing things again instead of being in front of laptop for the length of classes. Don't get me wrong, I was able to learn much in online classes in the comfort of my home. But it's time to actually apply and transform this theory and knowledge into useful skills. We'll be nurses, and it's very important for us to be practicing the skills necessary in taking care of the patient as soon as possible. The routine activities involved in the processes how will we perform highly stressful work situation really on being able to do things properly and with confidence. Being able to do intravenous insertion of the needle of the blood veins in the one of the tasks of the nurses, it takes precision and confidence to do properly on it being messy and painful situation for the patient. Such skill, among others, mostly achieved through practice and impossible through online classes. We welcome the face-to-face classes, the happiness of human connection, excitement, and the challenges it will give us. As I have said in my sum of assessment, face-to-face classes will prepare us in real-world situation, especially in the time of pandemic. I believe we are ready to take on the challenge. Face-to-face classes means face-to-face interaction, actual exchanges of ideas, working with classmates and professor in practical activities. Besides this, the happiness in doing ordinary stuff like chatting, joking, and eating with friends, seeing crushes, attending events and festivals inside the university will finally happen again. Such experiences makes university life complete. The pandemic sadly denied us the first opportunities for acquaintance party. I'm also excited to wear my uniform as soon as respected and easily recognized uniform. Seeing it gives comfort of most people as symbolize professional people who genuinely care, especially the nurses in the Philippines who receive very low salary but still carry on. Society against all other evidence, our pandemic situation is already improving the Philippines because of this is real heroes. With the challenge that with the insist face-to-face classes, I plan to keep myself healthy, strong, and matured in mind. Thank you.
Hi, hello. My name is Margarita Isabel D. Montilla from Section N15. Since the pandemic started, students have stayed home to study. Everyone has adjusted to the new normal since it's been 2 years since the pandemic started. It is crucial for students to have the opportunity to study online, since online learning needs a gadget to use and a stable internet connection to attend virtual meetings. Students all over the world rant about how online learning is hard. Online learning is harder for many reasons, from missing crucial parts of your learning to not being able to access your education because of the internet. Online learning has been a rough adjustment. Many students have struggled to make the jump from physically being at school to learning virtually. If I were to choose, I choose face-to-face classes. It's the most common method of educational instruction. Additionally, learners gain from increased interaction with their classmates. Face to face learning ensures a greater grasp and retention of lesson content, as well as the opportunity for class participants to bond. While online learning is growing more popular for some people, face to face learning is still the best option. Instructors are better able to measure students' understanding and interest in face to face learning, and it is simpler to develop group excitement about the subject. Attending lessons on a regular basis allows students to engage with others their own age, enhance their discipline, stick to routine, and increase their physical fitness and mental attentiveness. Finally, positive relationships with good professors might inspire students to obtain greater grades. It is well known that a young child's attention span is short since their focus is readily distracted. In this instance, online learning is ineffective because the learner may become distracted by events occurring around them and forget to concentrate on their lectures. All of the pupils are gathered in one location with the goal of gaining knowledge. Classroom learning is made more remembered when students and teachers interact and engage with one another, ensuring that the learning goal is not lost. Games, riddles, games, and a colorful environment, among other things, maintain interest and create a super B learning environment.
Good day, Mom. I am Clisel M. Napoli from Lesson 1 and 15. Today, I'm gonna share my speech about resumption of face-to-face classes. First, what is face-to-face classes? Face-to-face classes is where the students and teachers met on a set place for a set of time for either one-on-one learning or most commonly in-group class lessons similar to what happened at school. Face-to-face learning is a really effective way to learn knowledge because it combines different ways of learning and skills, including writing, reading, discussions, presentations, projects, video clips, demonstration, and practice. I am in favor of face-to-face learning because most of the people prefer this type of learning instruction. Learners benefit from a greater level of interaction with their fellow students. In face-to-face learning, students are held accountable with their progress at a class-specific meeting date and time. And also, face-to-face learning ensures a better understanding and recollections, lessons content, and give class members a chance to bond with one another. In conclusion, reopening of face-to-face classes must be planned carefully to ensure the safety of the students as well as the teachers and school staff in a stage fashion in following physical distancing. And that's all. Thank you.
As we transition back to face classes, some may question, are we ready? Is the school ready? Are the circumstances already permitting us to do so? We may be skeptical because this decision appears to be a major undertaking for us, the community, and for the country, and it is as well as a great indicator that we are indeed beginning to return to our normal way of life. But if you look into it comprehensively, we've been back for quite some times. Large gatherings such as weddings, debut, celebrations, and seminars have already been allowed even then. We've been going out of our houses freely, hanging out with our friends, going on a trip, shopping, and even going out just because. Yet, here we are questioning the authorizations of face-to-face classes when it completely has all the right reasons to be carried out since education is an essential and it's clearly more significant than those of the aforementioned activities we've been doing. Complaints about current state of learning in the midst of pandemic have been countless. Students claim to learning little to nothing and mental health cases are on the rise. Aside from the fact that students in higher education are required to be at traditional classroom settings, particularly in the medical field, there are a number of external factors affecting the current remote learnings that hinder students' ability to acquire knowledge smoothly, such as poor internet connections. Although some students may prefer to stay on the current learning setup, doubting the implementation of returning to face-to-face classes is out of the question, the ground from which this decision is to be made are evident. That face-to-face learning is better than online learning because students have access to various learning resources on campus versus off. Face-to-face allows students to have instant gratifications with answers and help. When student in class, they can ask questions while in fresh of their mind or help with a particular problem. The student was at home online, they would have to wait for the instructor to email them back. Is that really more conducive to a person's educations and learning? Face-to-face communication allows the entire experience to not only be heard but also seen and felt. Face-to-face training also add personal elements to a workshop as opposed to computer-based education. Those who disagree with me think that online learnings allow students to learn at their own pace. Students are able to take the time to understand and figure out problems with the resources that are provided. You'll be able to concentrate harder on your learning because there will be less distractions than if you were at home.
Good day. Face-to-face learning, in my opinion, is superior to online learning since students have more learning resources on campus than they do off. When students communicate face-to-face, they can receive rapid feedback and encouragement. A student can ask questions or request assistance with a specific topic while in class, while it is still fresh in their minds. If the student work from home, they would have to wait for the teacher to respond via email. Furthermore, the youngsters will be able to complete the activity properly. It is done face to face. However, by contributing and as a result, forming a connection with their classmates as a part of the given performance task. The student can fully engage in such activities, assessments. Face-to-face delivers higher motivation to study, quick feedback. Everything is simply too difficult to learn on a computer. One-on-one interaction with educators is advantageous. The online class completes this task by typing independently and posting results in a class forum and peer comment later in this week. Whereas the face-to-face class completes the task while sitting at a desk in class, handwriting in notebooks, and immediately sharing their writing with a peer. social skills that are common to successful social interaction with other social partners. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chabilita V. Parrot from N15. The topic that I talk all about is about resumption of face-to-face classes. The resumption of face-to-face classes and the further reopening of more sectors will help the Philippine economy avoid long-lasting damage from the coronavirus pandemic. Managing the risk of shutting down the economy and containing the spread of the coronavirus disease 29 or COVID-19 should be the most co-effective way of preventing economic scaring for our country. I believe that face-to-face learning is better than online learning because students have access to various learning resources on a campus versus off. Face-to-face allows students to have instant gratification with answers and help. When a student is class, they can ask questions while it's fresh on their mind or help with a particular problems. Face-to-face students also gain from socialization with peers and interaction with teachers, and face-to-face communication allows the entire experience to not only heard but also seen and felt. Face-to-face training also adds personal elements to a workshop as open to a computer-based education. Honestly, I must prefer for online class as of now, because one of the significant reasons why many students prefer online learning is because of the flexibility is over. Unlike traditional classes that have a fixed schedules, online classes are typically asynchronous and give you the freedom to organize your classes at your convenience. I can choose to start my class anytime I like. I can speed up one week and slow down another week and around in the different obligations. Online learning also allows to learn from anywhere in the world. That means I attend classes even while on a family vacation. The flexibility of online learning also makes it a perfect style of learning for students like me who have other activities or a job. There are a lot of different structures from distance learning, which is essentially moving on a ground class online with rigid times to log in to listen or to watch online lectures. That is why it can be an online class structure that take as long as I time. Thank you.
Traditional learning. Traditional learning, also called face to face learning. It plays a crucial role in fostering students' interaction, where teachers and students meet in a set of place for a set of time. It's either one on one or in a group class discussion that is commonly similar to what happens in school. Face to face communication allows the entire experiences to not only be heard but also to be seen and felt. Traditional learning is a more effective way learning process by combining different ways of learning, such as reading, writing, live discussion, group presentation, demonstration, and also project. Schools are places of learning. Create friendship, playing in sports, and participating in extracurricular activities. The benefits of going to school keep us physically healthy in comparison to the online learning where most of us spend large amount of time looking on the screen of our technologies. Schools provide us comfortable places and physical activities that we are needed in order to be knowledgeable and healthy, not only physically but also mentally. The question is, are we eager to return to school? As face-to-face classes are more beneficial than online class. However, there are disadvantages of traditional learning. First, travel time and cost. So you need to wake up early as you can to prepare yourself and have enough time to travel in order to be on class on time. Second,
You'll have to pay for your textbooks and also buy uniforms. Third, project presentation of some activities can also cost. But all of these are important and part of your learning. Nevertheless, the advantages and quality of face-to-face class cannot be found online. Online education cannot replace the school systems thoroughly in discussment. Students in traditional learning can concentrate harder on learning because there will be lesser distraction than they are at home. They can gain greater understanding, stories, and real world examples from their teachers, and they will be comfortable and learn more easily in a familiar traditional class situation. And I conclude that traditional learning ensures a better understanding and a recollection of lesson content that gives class members a chance to personally bond and learn with one another.
Hello everyone, my name is Angel P. Pineda from Section N15, and today I'm going to convey my memorized speech about the resumption of face-to-face classes. So, first of all, what is face-to-face learning and what it is in our life as a student? Well, in my opinion, face-to-face learning is an instructional method where course content and learning material are taught in a person to a group of students. This allows for a live interaction between a learner and an instructor, more like the teacher or the student. Learners benefit from a greater level of interaction with their fellow students as well. And I think that this type of education is not very important right now, but we are learning in an online and modular, that's why. And the advantages of face-to-face learning is that when you are in a classroom, you'll be able to concentrate more, focus more in your learning or studies because there'll be less distraction than if you were at home. Well, I can relate to that because it is a lot of distraction. And you may feel more comfortable and learn more easily in a familiar, traditional classroom situation. I think it's very, very traditional that face-to-face learning is very often at the time where pandemic doesn't break out. And I believe that face-to-face learning is better than online or modular learning because students have access to various learning resources on campus versus off. Face-to-face allows students to have instant gratification with answers and help. When a student is in the class, they can ask questions, problems about their activities or quizzes, as if was fresh in their mind, or help with a particular problem. If the student was at home online, they would have to wait for maybe 2 days, 3 days to email them by their instructor. Is that really more conducive to a person in education and learning? Well, I believe that face-to-face needs to be resumed because students also gain from socialization and with peers interaction with teachers. And I think that this type of learning should be continued because a lot of us students doesn't have the knowledge about the face-to-face learning now because it's been 2 years since the pandemic breakout. And I think that this type of topic is very important right now to all of us students who is conveying this type of speech. And that's all for today. Well, thank you for watching my video. I hope you like it.
Hey everyone, my name is Mutia Rosari Jenny Pino, and now I'm going to be telling you my thoughts and idea about the given topic, which is the resumption of the face-to-face classes. So for me, this topic is a little bit hard for me to think, but I think that if we reopen face-to-face again, we should always have that strong agreement to shared responsibilities to the students, teachers, and parents. And for me as a student, I really do like this idea because there's less distractions when it comes to face-to-face. Because when we are always at online class, I think that most students right now are very destructive because there's a lot of games to do, like playing online games, playing cell phones, going parties, always at social medias without thinking that they forgot to answer their assessment already. And if we allow face to face again, we can see clearly their gestures, their body language, and how they deliver their speech, and we can communicate well. We can ask them clearly because we are in the face to face. But if we are always at online class, I think that it's very difficult for us to understand and to see their expressions of what we said or of what we chat. And I think if we really like to proceed face to face, we should always get vaccinated first, and we should always follow the safety protocols like wearing face mask, wearing face shield, and having 1 meter distance at school. And for me, if we allow face-to-face classes again, there's a lot of students that would be very happy. Like me, I am very happy that I'm very happy that the DepEd announced that there's a possibility to have face-to-face again, because if we are in the face-to-face, we could learn more at school. We can learn more knowledge, more styles, especially in our course, and techniques and whatsoever. And I think that we can also make new friends at school in our new environment. And I think that we could achieve that one if we are all vaccinated and if we are all responsible of doing that. Thank you.
Hello, I am Yasmin Layamra Pisora from BSN N15, and I'll be giving a speech regarding the topic resumption of face-to-face classes. I'll be tackling about students' thoughts whether they are for or against the resumption of face-to-face classes. As students adopt the new changes of learning system using modular and online learning due to COVID-19 and other viruses causing pandemic in the world, restricting students to go to school, some students who are against the news of resumption of face-to-face classes because as for them, using modular and online learning is an easy system where in one click away from searching in Google and other technological advances, the quizzes and assessments and even the exams without having to fully learn the given topic. They would also have to adapt again to the new environment, and students are afraid of the risk of getting the virus, as that residential learning will inevitably contribute to the possible spread of COVID-19. There are a lot of students who are struggling in adapting and keeping up with modular and online learning because there are a lot of barriers in learning, such as internet connection problem, possible power shortage, and doing household chores at the same time, family disturbance, and a lot more. There are also students whose families are struggling to provide their needs in online classes due to financial problems, which lead to problem of dropping out from school and starting working to help their families. As if face-to-face class will further delayed, there is a possibility that more students will drop out from school. While those students who are highly agreed to the resumption of thinks it is really necessary that we need to have face-to-face classes even if it is limited. Face-to-face allows students to have instant gratification with answers and help. When a student is in class, they can ask questions while it is fresh on their mind or help with a particular problem. At each school premises, to seek an accomplished goal and resumption of residential education, while also keeping everyone safe. Plans to keep students, faculty and staff, and the surroundings community safe from COVID-19 are being designed around strategies for testing, social distancing, and de-densification. That would be all. Thank you.
Resumption of face-to-face classes. Education is a critical component of our lives and no one can deny its significance this day and era. People should continue to learn no matter what happens. Furthermore, the resumption of face-to-face classes is significant in the view of the fact that there are several elements that only be learned through face-to-face education, and only face-to-face education makes practical sense. Face-to-face is preferable than online learning since learners are exposed to more learning tools on campus versus off. Face-to-face interaction enables learners to receive immediate feedback and assistance. When a student is in class, they can ask questions or get help with a specific topic while it is fresh in their minds. If the students was working from home, they would have to wait for the instructor to respond by email. Is that truly better for a person's educational and learning? Socialization with peers and engagement with teachers benefit face-to-face students as well. The strong relation between students and teachers is one of the most important aspects of the learning process. Face-to-face communication makes it feasible to see and feel the complete event as well as hear it. In comparison to computer-based education, face-to-face training brings human touch to a session. Face-to-face learning is a very successful method for acquiring knowledge and skills since it frequently incorporates a variety of learning, training, such as writing, research, dialogue, demonstration, task, cooperative learning, film clips, presentation, and performance. Face-to-face is the most common method of educational instruction. In addition, learners gain from increased interaction with their classmates. Face-to-face learning ensures a greater grasp and retention of lesson content, as well as the opportunity of the participants to bond.
Good day. 2 years from now, when COVID-19 struck and everything went haywire, including our country's education system, the government did everything it could to stem the spread of the virus. The new normal education system was one of the government's solutions. During this period of upheaval, students have been learning through modules and online classes for the past 2 years. Implementing the new normal system of education is difficult and it is a big adjustment for students and schools. Unfortunately, COVID-19 cases are rapidly declining this year 2021. It was excellent news of all of us have been affected by this high news phenomenon. Things are slowly but steadily improving. Some businesses have reopened and customers can now decide whenever they want. Despite the fact that there are still some limitations, it is comforting to know that we are now a little safer. Things in the education system are also returning to normal. At a few schools, the Department of Education establishing limited face-to-face classes. Are we, however, prepared for this many Filipinos are still concerned that if face-to-face classes implemented, things will get messy. However, the Department of Education assured us that they are adequately prepared and that they have been evaluating schools that will implementing face-to-face classes in order to ensure the safety of the students and teachers, regardless of problem and challenges, providing the best education in what everyone requires and desires. Because, as everyone say, education is the key to success. Thank you.
I am Tessa Maripi Samoya, Basin 1 and 15. Education is one of the most affected aspects of our lives when the COVID-19 pandemic begins because of the sudden change in learning modalities. The majority of us experience depression, anxiety, and mental confusion. Thus, the Department of Education and the Campus of Higher Education have announced the restorations of face-to-face lessons to selected limited classes after almost 2 years of having online classes and other learning modalities. Some of the students state that they preferred face-to-face classes over online classes. For me, as a student, I must prefer also face-to-face classes because they can provide opportunities for us students and teachers to engage. As certain students and teachers would consider that face-to-face learning is better than an online learning since it provides students and teachers with more diverse learning opportunities. On the other hand, it is accessible and handy for us students to comprehend each lesson and what the teachers may discuss. Yet, while online learning, students must patiently wait for teachers' answer and maybe for the direction. However, most students are distracted while the learning online because not everyone has a quiet place to focus on. And some students spend their time watching television, playing online games, and socializing with their peers. The advantage of face-to-face learning is you can gain a greater understanding in all aspects of face-to-face learning modalities. As a result, face-to-face learning is important since students are concentrating on their study. Students benefit from peer interaction and instructor involvement as well. People should continue to learn and study regardless of what is going on. Thus, face-to-face classes and new method must be reopened.
Today, I want to share to you my speech about resumption of face-to-face classes. 2 years ago, the pandemic started and the economy was affected. And because of that, our community began to fall and the percentage of poverty in our country started to high because many of people lost their job. As a reason of some establishment began to close because the owner can't afford to continue their businesses in the middle of the pandemic. Now it is called a new normal, which many of us can't accept the fact that there are so many situations change far from the life we used to be before the COVID. At first, it's not easy because it's really hard for everyone live in this situation. And in the middle of the hardship that everyone faced, we as students also began to feel innovation for these situations. March 2020, when the class is suspended because of the pandemic. It is needed to suspend because the cases of the virus is spreading throughout in the community day by day. And for the safety of everyone, the health workers encouraging people to stay at home to prevent spreading the virus and to prevent each of us to be affected of the virus. And for the students, DepEd and CHED and the President also concluded that there will be no conducting of face-to-face classes as unadvised for the good and safety of every student. And because of that, the higher education planning on how to conduct teaching so that students can continue chasing their dream despite on this pandemic. Online class was implemented as a sub for the face-to-face classes, but some of the students didn't like it as there are so many distractions and some of them can't afford technologies and internet connections. And other that, as a student, we are not yet comfortable for the online class because we used going to the school before, and it is not easy for us to adjust immediately. But time passes, we slowly accepted the reality, and despite of having a hard time, we need to be strong and responsible enough to accept the new normal. Recently, the DepEd and CHED announced for a limited face-to-face classes, and it seems a good idea for everyone as a student. Is the reason that some of us murmuring about didn't learn well in an online class. Because as we can see, it is a big difference when we as a student go to school and have actual learning than being in the online class.
Hi everyone, my name is Joshua B. Sevillano from BSN N15. Today, I'll share to you my insights and opinions about the resumption of face-to-face classes. It's been years since COVID-19 hit China first and the virus rode on ships, airplanes, and the different types of transportation. Those spreads like a wildfire throughout the globe. As a student, my plans for the future comes to an halt, and so is the world. In these past few years, all the classes in the Philippines was cancelled in order to stop the virus from spreading, and ultimately because it is threat our lives as many numbers of lives. The virus has spread not just in the Philippines but throughout the 7 continents. We were introduced to different situations and protocols in order to cope and survive this pandemic. Our normal evolved to a new version and it became the new normal. The Department of Education or DepEd canceled the face-to-face, thought the normal procedure of education is not coherent because of the presence of COVID-19. Our education still found a way, 2 modules, virtual classes, and creating a channel for the sole purpose of education. With the combined efforts, different vaccine was produced and thankfully I already received my vaccine. It is announced that face-to-face classes will resume next year in 2022. I am thrilled for the upcoming face-to-face classes. Thrilled because having face-to-face classes means we passed and overcome the trials brought by the virus. Thrilled to see my friends, thrilled to listen to my teachers live, finally not on screen but alright in front of me, and to ask questions I could not understand on a certain topic. Thrilled to experience the things that I missed out during the pandemic. Change is the only constant in this naked world. There would be difficulties along this resumption of face-to-face classes, but I believe that in everything, we just have to trust the process, either the effects to be good or bad. Learning face-to-face has more huge impact to students for the reason that our home are where we rest, enjoy our meals, and just relax. Learning can still be done at home, but our home has distractions, particularly our phones. We are always tempted and our focus is divided, resulting to procrastination. Our environment plays a big role for our learning, thus it is important that it is done in a place where the surroundings and facilities are for our education. As all things has its advantage and disadvantage, the very factor where face-to-face is more productive is that as students and teachers are the same place, especially as the one of the future nurse or any professions, we need not just to learn knowledge from our textbook, we also need to apply and experience our future job in first hands. Thank you.
Life is full of surprises. It is a mystery and unpredictable. We don't know what will happen today, tomorrow, or in the future. Hi, my name is John Marie Idbian Abarcas Solis from N15, and I'm gonna talk about the resumption of face-to-face classes. So in an unexpected situation happened to us, especially to a student like me. A virus called COVID-19 hit the Philippines that makes us a student stay at home. It's been 2 years since it happened, and the government decided to resume face-to-face classes this year. I believe that face-to-face learning is better than online learning since students have access to a variety of learning tools on a campus rather than off. Face-to-face interaction provides students with immediate gratification in terms of responses and assistance. When I'm in face-to-face class, I might ask question or seek assistance with a specific difficulty. If I was at home, I would have to wait for the instructor to respond by email. Is that actually better for a person's education and learning? I found myself actually learning better in a face-to-face setting than in online classes. When it comes to activity, I can't help but to compare my understanding skills in person versus online. I wish I could do this at school. I can do so much better. I can concentrate better. I say this sometimes. So I agree to resume face-to-face classes because I believe it is acceptable to have face-to-face classes as long as I, as a student, follow protocols and required health regulation such as maintaining social distancing, wearing a mask, and being vaccinated. Let's face it, it's really different to attend a class without a classroom. Online learnings has provided a semblance of normalcy by allowing me to see at least the faces of my teachers and classmates, but it is really not the same as being physically there in school and the same environment as my classmates. So let's resume face-to-face. I guess. See you next semester. Thank you.
The COVID-19 pandemic has become a global health issue and resulting to economic crisis that has brought difficulties to the students. Since this pandemic starts, it left students and colleges struggling. We face many challenges and difficulties like financial problems that has caused students to put their education in jeopardy. We had different living arrangements that make our learning more difficult than usual. And a lot of us students, especially colleges, lack necessary resources for our online classes. But not just us students who experience difficulties in this pandemic. Also the teachers, the institution where we enroll. They have much greater difficulty during this pandemic. They need to watch, to follow up, to check students if they answer their activities or assessment assigned. We are starting to adopt this new way of learning where we just watch videos, search in Google if there are something we can't understand or clarifications. But these days, these months, we hear about the news of resumption of face-to-face classes around social media. I didn't know if we must be excited, happy, or scared about it. We must be excited because of face-to-face is back, and we can meet our classmates, our co-students. But I think we must be scared because pandemic is still there. Patients are still there. COVID-19 virus is still there. But for us med students, nursing students, is face to face is really a must because we must really understand our lessons, our discussion topics about nursing for us to be a good and successful nurse someday.
I believe that face-to-face learning is better than online learning because students have access to various learning resources off. Face-to-face allows students to have instant gratification with answers and help. When a student is in class, they can ask questions while it is fresh on their mind or help with a particular problem. If the student was at home while online, they would have to wait for the instructor to email them back. Is that really more conducive to a person's education and also learning? Face-to-face students also gain from socialization with peers and interaction with teachers. Face-to-face communication allows the entire experience to not only be heard, but also be seen and felt. Face-to-face training also adds a personal element to a workshop as opposed to computer-based education. You'll be able to concentrate harder on your learning because there'll be less distraction than if you were at home. During face-to-face, you can gain greater understanding, stories, and real-world examples from teachers and other students as well. You have a greater chance of completing your course successfully by doing it in a classroom situation. You may feel more comfortable and learn more easily in a familiar, traditional classroom situation. You can access more information and reach your understanding through teacher and other students' body language and voice. You have the opportunity to connect with, problem solve, and network with other students from a wide range of backgrounds. That's all. God bless. Stay safe. Thank you.
Good day. My name is Meryl Joy P. Banyes, BS1 in 15. Face-to-face classes are preferable rather than online classes because it commonly integrates many forms of learning such as interactions, presentations, projects, group work, film clips, demonstration, and practice. Face-to-face learning is an exceptionally effective approach of acquiring knowledge and skills. Whenever an instructor and a student gather in a specific place at a set time, once per learning either more typically in group class lessons. The following are some of the advantages of instructional strategies. Initially, you're being able to concentrate better on your studies because there will be fewer instructions compared when you're at home. Teachers and other students could therefore present you with further informations, ideas, and actual interactions. On the other hand, online programs are suitable if you want to study into your own speed within comfort of your own home or elsewhere. While taking classes online is a handy choice, it is not necessarily the ideal decision for everyone because some students find it difficult to study on their own and need to interact with the teacher and other students in a classroom setting. Thus, we must be well organized, self-motivated, and have strong communication skills in online class. Students also have a better chance of actually completing the studies as well as undertake them in a classroom setting, we as students could fare more at ease as well as study more quickly in a familiar school setting. Also, can learn more and have a better understanding by observing the teachers and other students, body language and strategies. You'll have the chance to interact with problem solve with a network with students from all walks of life.